everybody, it's Sarah the Urban Farm Gal, and today is my birthday. I mean, you only turned 41, so tiara? Why not? Dang it, my phone. See what's going on. Yay! So today's recipe, we are making my favorite, and this what I have every birthday is a carrot cake. And I've tweaked and modified this recipe a little bit over the years, but essentially it's from a Southern Living recipe back, we're talking 20 years ago now. And it's called Best Carrot Cake. And this, with my tweaks, I personally believe, is the absolutely best carrot cake you will ever eat in your life. So I'll walk you through the changes that I've made, and if you don't have a lot of time on your hands and you're thinking, I don't have time to make a carrot cake from scratch, you do. Oh, you do. You can take a whole week to prep this out. If you've got 3 minutes here and 5 minutes there, I'll show you what you can do to kind of break it down into little steps, and then all you have to do at the end is just throw everything into a bowl, mix it up, put it in the oven to bake, and you're pretty much done. So first things first, in order to maximize time, we're gonna roast some hazelnuts first. So you can use pecans or walnuts or any other nut that you want, but I decided a couple of years ago that hazelnuts sounded like a really good idea, and was I ever right? Hazelnuts are the most awesome idea for a carrot cake. Trust me on this, you must do it, unless you have an allergy to tree nuts, and then stay away. So I've got about there's probably 2.5 cups of hazelnuts in here. They still have the skins on, so they're raw. I'm gonna put them in the toaster oven, and that's gonna heat them up, and then the skins will loosen a little bit. I'll show you how to take them off, and then we'll get started on the rest of the stuff while these are toasting. Okay, into the toaster oven they go right now. Put them on toast, like you're toasting a piece of bread or a piece of pizza to reheat or whatever, for about 8 minutes. If you start smelling them, it's time to take them out. Got it? Got it. While the hazelnuts are toasting, we're gonna grate some carrots. So these are all steps you can do to maximize your time. Do them beforehand, and you can do them a couple of days in advance. You can do them a week in advance. It doesn't matter. So with the carrots, I'm using a hand grater. You can grate carrots in a food processor if you want, but then you have to clean your food processor, and what fun is that? So this goes pretty quick, and then all you have to clean is your grater. So I'm using 2 carrots. We need about 2 cups. 2 fairly large sized carrots will give me probably a little more than 2 cups. I don't care, I like carrots. I'm good with it. So we're gonna grate. Maybelle came in while I started grating carrots, and I thought, oh cool, she's gonna come hang out with me. And then I realized she's just in here for the carrot. I feel so used. You can have some carrot. Also got carrot all over my counter, but that's okay. Oh, do you need another piece of carrot? There you go. Silly dog. Okay, so I have a bowl full of carrots. It's probably, if I were to cram the carrots into a measuring cup, which I'm not going to. Hazelnuts! I'm not going to actually measure these because I've done this enough. I figure it's close enough to 2 cups. Yeah. Okay, so that's another step, a second step that you can do ahead of time. You can then put these back in the fridge in a little plastic bag or something and keep them for a day or so. Another thing you can do, I put pineapple in this. So you can take your pineapple and you can drain it. This is crushed pineapple. So here's the pineapple juice, here's the pineapple crushed, and I use both of these in the cake. Now it's time to get my mixing bowl. No. Let's go ahead and pull the hazelnuts out. So when you pull these out of the oven, you might notice that the skins are a little cracked, and that's exactly what you want. There should be a little bit of light toasting on the exposed flesh of the nut itself. If these are starting to turn black, then you cooked them too long. So here's how I de-skin my hazelnuts. I've got a nice clean towel. Actually, it doesn't look clean because I did hazelnuts in it yesterday and there's still a few skins, but essentially it's clean. So I've got my towel on the counter, and then you're just gonna pour the nuts into the middle of the towel. So you're gonna draw the corners together and make like a little sack with it, and then you're just gonna kind of roll it around in your hands. And what you're doing is just rubbing the skins off. So just kind of rub them around, and then we're gonna leave them in the towel. Let them cool off a little more. This technique won't remove all of the skins, but that's okay. for the most part, it's not going to be a big deal. So we're just going to chop them up, put some in the batter, and then I'll use the rest to decorate the outside of the cake after I frost it. So the third thing you can do to maximize your time here is combine all of your dry ingredients into a bowl and then set it aside for a day or two if you need to. So we're talking flours, all your leavening agents like baking powder and baking soda, salt. Don't include the sugar in the dry ingredient. I know, yeah, sugar is dry, but when sugar dissolves in a liquid, it's actually considered to be one of the liquid components. The sugar goes in with either the butter or the eggs, those liquid ingredients. So keep your sugar out of this and separate. So I'm going to put all of my dry ingredients into this one bowl, and then we'll set it aside, and then we'll do the wet ingredients, and then we'll dump everything in. Sounds good? Sounds excellent. For dry ingredients, we need 2 cups of flour. I'm using a half mix of white flour and whole wheat flour. So this is 1 cup of whole wheat flour. And I went ahead and sifted my flour. I don't normally do that, but sometimes, I don't know, it's just kind of nice to do that. And you all know, good boys and girls, that you should always pour your flour into your measuring cup. Never take your measuring cup and scoop it into your flour, because it will compact the flour in your measuring cup and you'll get more flour than you actually intended to. So to sift this flour, I'm just using a small little sieve, but you can just bang this against the side of your hand like so. Your flour falls through and you're done. Next ingredient. I'm going to do a teaspoon of baking soda and a teaspoon of baking powder. Why do I always do this on camera? About a half teaspoon of salt. Might go a little light on the salt. And this recipe also calls for buttermilk. I'm using a powdered buttermilk, and oftentimes I will put it in liquid and try to dissolve it and then add it. But I was actually reading the instructions yesterday, which I guess I've never done before. Go figure. And it says if you're adding it to, you know, a baked ingredient or something like that, to go ahead and mix it in with your dry ingredients, and then you can add your liquid later. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do 3 heaping teaspoons, 3/4 of a cup of buttermilk. And cinnamon. Cinnamon's another dry ingredient. I am strictly a cinnamon girl. So this calls for 2 teaspoons. I like my cinnamon, so we're going a full tablespoon, or 3 teaspoons. These are your dry ingredients. So if you're limited on time and you want to do this step a day ahead or a week ahead, you can. As long as there's, you know, there's no moisture in here, it's shelf stable pretty much indefinitely. Okay, next order of business. This recipe calls for 3/4 cup of vegetable oil. To me, that seems absolutely ridiculous and unnecessary. So several years ago, I started playing around with alternatives to the vegetable oil. And I thought, I'm using pineapple and I'm draining the juice off of the pineapple. Why not substitute some of the oil with pineapple juice? And you know what? It was a brilliant idea, if I do say so myself. So I use about 1/4 cup of oil. Pineapple juice. So up to 3/4 cup. And the other thing I love about this is pineapple juice smells so good, and I can have the rest of it for myself. We need 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. My Ericana, she laid her first egg of 2018 yesterday. 1 egg, and we're gonna use 2 eggs. The recipe calls for 3 eggs. I don't think we need it. So why am I so presumptuous as to think I don't need that 3rd egg? Well, for example, yesterday I made a half batch of these because I made little mini cupcakes and took them to my bar class this morning and shared them with everyone after class was over. And since it calls for 3 eggs, I would have needed 1.5 eggs, and I was like, I'm just gonna do 1 egg. And it turned out absolutely fine, so I figure we can knock another egg off of here and it's not gonna be an issue at all. Pardon me while I have more pineapple juice. Another little tweak I've made to this recipe is it calls for 2 cups of sugar, and that is a ridiculous amount of sugar, especially considering we've added pineapple juice, which is plenty sweet in and of itself. So I cut the sugar in half and take it down to about 1 cup. Sometimes I do maybe like 1 1/3 cup. I'm just gonna do like a heaping 1 cup, put it in there, call it good. One thing I remembered yesterday, I accidentally doubled the leavening agent in that recipe. I forgot to half it. So they turned out really well. So I'm going to add another like 3/4 teaspoon of baking powder to my dry ingredients. Almost added it to my wet. Would that have been a total disaster? No. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stir this up. So this is essentially all of the liquid ingredients outside of the pineapple and the carrot. The final thing that we need, we have to account for our buttermilk. So the dry buttermilk is in the dry ingredients, but we need to also add the liquid component to that, which is 3/4 cup of water, since we need 3/4 cup of buttermilk. So I'm just going to go ahead and add that water in here, stir it all in. I'm going to go ahead and add my dry ingredients. I'm going to just add them a little bit at a time. Carrots, 2 cups. And finally, a little bit of pineapple. So the recipe calls for a cup. This is an 8-ounce jar, which would be about a cup. So we're gonna add all this pineapple in. Ooh. So this is essentially finished and ready to go in the oven, but I'm gonna add the hazelnuts. So bring your little towel back over. The nuts are quite a bit cooler now, so we're just gonna kind of rub them around and try to, you know, pull off as many skins as possible. You can roll them around on the counter. Don't do that. Okay, now we just need to chop the hazelnuts. I would recommend a food processor for this, but since my mini food processor is still out of commission, I have yet to order a replacement. Dang it! Come back here, stupid hazelnut. Okay, so you can see there's still a substantial amount of skin on some of these, and that's okay. As they get chopped, some of the skins will come off. It's gonna be a few skins going in, but that's okay. It's not the end of the world. So these, I'm just gonna stir into the batter. The rest of the hazelnuts are gonna go on the outside. You have hazelnuts in your bowl. This recipe makes enough batter for 3 9-inch cakes. So I only have 2 9-inch cake pans for some reason. And then this one appeared in my cabinet. I have no idea where it came from. I think this might belong to my stepdaughter. I need to double check on that. So you want to grease them really well. You can also cover the bottoms with parchment paper, pretty much into equal thirds as much as possible. Okay, so the cakes just came out of the oven. 25 minutes was perfect, and my oven wasn't quite preheated all the way to 350, so it might even have been a little bit less time than that if your oven was already preheated entirely. So keep that in mind, 23 to 25 minutes, somewhere in that range. So all we have to do is let these cool. I'm gonna go do something fun, like I don't know, color. All my cakes are cooled, so now I'm going to layer them up and frost them, and they're going to go on my nice little cake stand that I got as a wedding present from my grandmother. And the dishwasher is running, and that is where my spatula is. So we're using a plain old butter knife for this frosting. So this is a cream cheese frosting. It's really simple. I made it last night. It is simply 2 sticks of butter, or 1 cup, and 2 8-ounce packages of cream cheese, a little bit of salt, just a pinch, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, I think. Yeah, I think I did 2. And 6 cups of powdered sugar. So I made a lot of icing because I doubled the icing recipe so that I could frost my mini cupcakes that I took to bar today, and then have plenty left over for 4 tiers on this cake. Time for some hazelnuts on top. So I'm just going to sprinkle some on top, and I'm pretty much going for total coverage here. And then you just kind of press them into the side. They're going to fall down to the bottom some, but that's okay. There it is. It's done. I'm not gonna cut a piece yet because we're having dinner tonight. So, but I can assure you that this is really good because I had 3 or 4, maybe 5 little mini cupcakes this morning. Oh, I can't wait to dig into this. It's gonna be so good. And I hope you get a chance to make this cake because it's so good. I'm gonna go lick the hazelnuts and frosting off my fingers now. Happy New Year, everybody. All right, until next time, ciao. These are all steps you can do to maximize your time, and I have too much of the fridge showing. Maybe we need to just turn a little bit like that. Will that work a little better? Maybe? We'll see. That works. Just gonna wash this up real quick. Hope you don't mind. Look at all this carrot. Carrot, carrot everywhere. And then you're gonna gather the corners of the towel up and make, did you hear that? Maybelle, she just let a little toot. In my video of all things. So you're using the friction of the nuts against the towel and also against one another. And I realize there is a really bad innuendo here and we're not even going there. Or if you want to make your own buttermilk, do you know how to make buttermilk? You take milk, regular old milk, a little bit of vinegar. You combine them, you let the milk sit for a couple minutes and it curdles. Ah, cool. Little note from the pros. I think I dumped most of it in the first pan. Hey, what are you looking down there? No, don't like that. And then the rest of it, so the other half cup, had to do the math, voila. 1, 2, we might be a little heavy on that, oh, that's okay. Nobody's counting. Well, maybe I'll get a hazelnut. Or 2, one went this way. There it is. We'll do the rest of these while the cakes are baking. Silly dog.